What if I told you that one sentence, said calmly, confidently, without a hint of desperation, could bypass resistance, drop emotional defenses, and plant desire in the subconscious without ever asking for it? It's not loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't chase. It invites. And once you understand the psychology behind that kind of phrasing, you'll stop forcing attraction and start waking it up in people who don't even realize what hit them. This is Stoic psychology applied to modern desire. And by the end of this video, you'll never speak the same way again. Let's be clear. Attraction isn't about scripts. It's about energy, tone, and who you are when you say something. The phrase you say, "No woman will resist," isn't a magic trick. It's an insight into how calm, self-assured people frame reality in a way that makes others lean in, instead of putting their guard up. Stoicism teaches detachment from outcome. That means your words don't beg, they don't push, they don't persuade, they present. And because you're detached from whether it works, it almost always does. So when we talk about saying something she can't resist, we're not talking about pickup. We're talking about presence. Words that reflect a level of grounded certainty that most people never hear in their entire lives, especially in moments of tension or flirtation. That's why when the right words are spoken with the right energy, they don't feel like lines. They feel like truth. And people are starving for truth in a world of performance. Number 1. I really like how calm I feel around you. This isn't flattery. It's not admiration. It's revelation. It's the kind of phrase that shifts emotional frames without raising your voice or changing your tone. It's calm, casual, and yet deeply disarming. Let's unpack why this line strikes so deeply. Most people, especially women, are used to being judged by how they make others feel. Whether they're attractive, entertaining, desirable, mysterious, they're rarely given emotional feedback that isn't about their appearance or social value. But this phrase, it reflects how their presence affects your state, not your opinion. Your state. You make me feel calm. This is not about seeking validation. It's not about her image. It's about the internal regulation her presence activates in you. And here's what makes it hit. When said by someone who already radiates calm energy, this sentence becomes a mirror. It reflects back a truth she wasn't even aware she created. And suddenly, she feels powerful in your presence, but not from control, from impact. This one sentence flips the dynamic. You're not telling her she's sexy or smart. You're telling her she affects your nervous system. That's real. That's vulnerable. That's grounded. Here's what happens next. Something primal. When someone realizes they have the power to regulate another person's emotional state without trying, a deeper part of them is awakened. They don't want to break that connection. They want to protect it. You've just made her feel valuable for who she is, not what she does. And if your tone is steady, not flirty, not apologetic, she won't feel responsible for your compliment. She'll feel appreciated. And appreciation without obligation is rare. It builds trust, it builds comfort, it builds attraction. When she feels safe in your presence and appreciated without expectation, resistance disappears. Because you're no longer approaching her, you're inviting her to stay. Number 2, I don't need anything from you. I just enjoy being in your space. This phrase is a psychological nuke because it neutralizes every single reason someone would feel the need to guard themselves around you. It kills the vibe of desperation. It removes agenda. It radiates emotional freedom. Let's dissect why this is one of the most magnetic sentences a person can say, especially when delivered with true Stoic presence. Attraction fades the moment someone feels obligated. When someone believes you're only nice, kind, engaging, or interesting because you want something, they tighten up. Even if they like you, they begin calculating, protecting, bracing for what's coming next. But this sentence cuts straight through that anxiety. I don't need anything from you. I just enjoy being in your space. You've just done something bold. You've given her emotional freedom by anchoring yourself in zero outcome dependence. That energy is so rare, it's almost spiritual. You're not there to get something. You're there because your experience of her company is complete on its own. Now, here's the paradox. The moment you remove your need for closeness, people want to get closer. Why? Because now their nervous system isn't defending, it's relaxing, it's opening. That's when intimacy can grow, not under pressure, but under peace. Let's go deeper. This sentence tells her, you're not a target, you're not a goal, you're a moment I enjoy. And when someone feels they're not being managed or positioned for your gain, they stop protecting themselves. They stop analyzing, and they start feeling. They feel drawn to the safety of someone who doesn't need to win them over. The person who speaks this sentence and means it from a place of internal security, not masked manipulation, becomes someone who others want to be around. Why? Because they don't take energy. They generate it. There's nothing more attractive than someone who enjoys a moment without trying to own it. So when you say this phrase, say it slowly, with presence, with neutrality, with quiet appreciation. Watch her eyes. She won't say much, but her body will tell you everything. Because in that moment, she'll know. You're not here for attention. You're not here for approval. You're not here to take anything. You're just here, with her. And in a world full of people who only show up to get something, that kind of presence is impossible to resist. Number 3, you don't have to perform around me. I prefer who you are when you're relaxed. This sentence is a psychological exhale. It doesn't just feel good to hear, it shifts identity. It rewires how someone sees themselves around you. And that rewiring, that's what turns interest into obsession, because most people, especially those who are attractive, high energy, or socially validated, spend their lives performing. They filter every word, manage every expression, curate every response to get a certain reaction. But when you say this sentence, you collapse that need. You speak to the version of them that exists underneath the persona. You don't have to perform around me. What you've just said, without saying it, is, I see through the act. And I'm not judging it, but I want what's real. That's rare. And rare is magnetic. This sentence is not passive. It's not soft. It's incredibly assertive in the most grounded way possible. You're not begging for the real version of them. You're revealing that you already recognize it, and you value it over the polished version they give everyone else. That hits different. Because here's the truth. Most people never get to relax. They're stuck in image management mode. They're afraid to be seen without the armor. But when someone gives them permission to drop the act, and does so without turning it into a seduction game, their walls fall almost instantly. Now, let's go deeper. When you say, I prefer who you are when you're relaxed, you're planting a new identity. With me, you're safe to be real. And that version of you is better than any image. You've now become a space, not just a person. A space where their realness is not only accepted, it's preferred. That emotional space creates bonding fast because you're not responding to their projected self. You're responding to them. And here's what that does to attraction. It builds trust. It creates safety. It makes you unforgettable. Because most people connect with the costume. You just connected with the core. And the moment someone realizes that you prefer their unpolished truth over their curated surface, they stop trying to impress you and start craving your presence. This is the edge of Stoicism. You're not here to manage reactions. You're here to invite realness. And when someone feels more relaxed with you than they do alone, you've won the game without playing it. Number 4, I don't want to impress you. I want to understand you. This phrase disarms instantly. It breaks the pattern most people expect in conversations, especially in dating dynamics. Why? Because it shifts the focus from ego to empathy, from performance to presence, from self-promotion to connection. I don't want to impress you. Right there, you've already made yourself different from 99% of others, because almost everyone else is trying to win someone over, trying to say the right thing, look the right way, tell the right story. But the moment you say you don't want to impress, you signal strength. You're not auditioning. You're not performing. You're not asking for approval. You're observing, calmly, with clarity. And because you're not seeking a reaction, your words carry more weight. They're not bait. They're mirrors. Now let's add the second half. I want to understand you. This is where the psychological magic happens, because very few people, especially those who are used to being pursued or judged, ever feel seen. They feel looked at, assessed, desired maybe, but not understood. When you say this phrase and mean it, you flip the script. You're not evaluating based on superficial metrics. You're offering attention without judgment, interest without strategy, depth without demand. That is rare, and rare becomes irresistible. This phrase also activates something deeper. It appeals to identity. When someone hears this, they stop thinking about how to present themselves. They start asking, who am I really? And why does this person want to see it? That self-reflection creates emotional opening. And opening is where intimacy is born. Let's be clear. This sentence only works if your energy backs it up. You have to mean it. You have to be present enough to receive the truth someone gives you after you say it. Because when you say, I want to understand you, and someone actually begins to open up, that's a sacred moment. And if you listen well, not to fix, not to validate, but to witness, you create a space most people have never experienced before. And from that space, resistance doesn't survive. Because you're no longer seen as a threat, or a performer, or a predator. You're seen as a mirror with depth. That's when attraction transcends performance and becomes devotion. Number 5, you feel different than most people. I can't explain it, and I don't want to. This line bypasses logic. It doesn't try to make sense. It doesn't overanalyze. It embraces mystery, and that's what makes it unforgettable. You feel different than most people. Right here, you've made someone feel rare, without comparison, without ranking, without inflating. It's not about being better. It's about being unlike anyone else. That hits a part of the psyche that longs to be seen for something unique, something deeper than looks, style, or status. This sentence isn't about beauty, it's about energy. You're telling someone that the way you feel in their presence isn't normal, and you're not trying to explain it away. You're just acknowledging it, calmly, with certainty. Now add this. I can't explain it, and I don't want to. Here's where the emotional hook embeds itself. This second half turns the mystery into art. You've admitted you don't have all the answers, and instead of scrambling for clarity, you're resting in the unknown. This shows emotional depth. It shows internal peace. It shows stoic composure in the face of intensity. You're not saying, I'm falling for you. You're saying, something's happening, and I'm strong enough to sit with it. That's different. That's leadership. That's emotional gravity. Let's go deeper. Most people try to dissect their feelings. They want logic. They want reassurance. But when you say this line, and you do it without pressure, without expectation, without any hint of outcome seeking, you unlock something ancient, spiritual seduction. You're no longer playing social games. You're engaging with presence so clean, so honest, that the only thing left is resonance. And when someone resonates with your energy at that level, resistance vanishes. Not because they're overwhelmed, but because they trust you. They trust your stillness. They trust your detachment. They trust that your interest is rooted in experience, not strategy. You didn't try to be impressive. You didn't try to be charming. You just felt something and voiced it with poise. And that poise, that depth, that mystery that you're not trying to control, that's what makes someone stop thinking and start feeling. And the moment they start feeling around you, without defenses, without scripts, without fear, that's when the wall drops. That's when connection begins. That's when attraction becomes a homecoming. Everything you've just heard isn't about clever words. It's about alignment. When what you say matches who you are, people feel safe around you. Not bored. Safe. And that safety isn't soft. It's magnetic. Because in a world full of performance, the person who doesn't need to prove anything becomes the rarest energy in the room. She doesn't resist your words because you tricked her. She lets go of resistance because your energy told her, I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to be real. And in a world where most people chase approval, being real is irresistible. You don't say these sentences to get something. You say them because they reflect who you've become. Calm, clear, focused. Not a performer, not a pleaser, just a presence. That's what Stoicism builds. That's why it works. You are no longer asking for connection. You're creating space where it wants to live. That's the shift. That's the win. Now, if this video opened something in you, if you felt that shift even slightly, don't let it fade. Support the channel. Because this isn't a trend. This isn't surface-level fluff. This is psychological truth, emotional calibration, real human power that changes how you move, how you speak, how people feel when they're around you. If you want this kind of clarity in the world, if you want other people to stop chasing and start attracting through presence and purpose, then help us build this message. Like the video, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe, because every week we go deeper. Let's shift the way people speak. Let's end the performance, and let's build attraction from the only place that lasts, from truth. This isn't content, it's clarity. Let's spread it.